totally a law school down now, right? That cannot be lost, right? However, we want to enhance school build. Today's mathematics is knowledge build, so we always want to add on, right? However, we cannot lose sight of what's happening now. So the programs that we do will be reflective of what's happening now as well and building on that. And it's also going to be consistent with the development of the school. So when we talk about workforce development, we also are talking about career and entrepreneurial development all at the same time, and it's always going to be centered around STEM, or should I say STEAM. So as things are needed for the school, those are going to be the things that are also embedded in the school. So those of you who have a skill set that can add on in that way, this is an all call to invite you to build along with us, and to particularly build along with me developing this law school. So again, I'll give you my email address. For those who didn't get a chance to record it earlier, it is my first name and my last honorable name, Bilal, on I love Allah, love. The last name is Polson, Power, Cipher, Love, Savior, Cipher Now, at msn.com. Please send me an email. I definitely look forward to building with you and seeing what your contributions are. And let me say this in closing, based on our last bill at the last Parliament, I can't tell you all of the brothers that I haven't seen and heard from in many years, and new brothers that I've met who have reached out to talk about how they want to add on. So I thank you and peace.
Hey, God, one second, God, for me. God, I can say, God, trying to say something. I apologize for the God's bill, and God was supposed to save that for national bills. And God did not follow the accordance with what God said. He's supposed to wait for that. So if God would like to disregard what God said and wait, God can save on that personal email for later. I'm going to tell you like this. Nothing is happening to the school. We want to talk about it. We'll talk about it at 4 o'clock. Nothing's happening to the school on what that presentation is. So please, that's it. The other God. It's 4 o'clock. It's not 4 o'clock. God. God. First name on the bill is God Imperial King.
They allow dogs that make a presentation at Universal Parliament. There's a couple things I want to build on. I want to speak about the timeline. It's very important that I speak about this timeline because there's a lot of events that took place that led to the presentation that was presented at the last Universal Parliament. There was a bill that took place in December of 2021. Back in 2013, that bill was reproduced and presented to the nation again. It was eliminated. Due to the pandemic that hit us, we had lost our venue to be able to have universal parliaments. And due to the pandemic, we had lost the venue to have universal parliaments. The God, born black, along with a large shard of life justice, put out a call to this nation, asking for $100 from God's earth and this nation. To do what? To build prefabricated buildings on a law school property. This is in September of 2021. In October 2021, we put out what the prefabricated building will look like. Similar to what the prefabricated building will look like. Come February of 2022, an SOS was put out. It's about Save a Law School. Since then, structural engineers and contractors came to see what the integrity and the structure of a law school is and see if there was any danger to a law school in Mecca. The structural engineer that came to a law school in Mecca told us the foundation was good, and it was good for about approximately 5 years, but some work needed to be done at that time after that. There was one error, there was one problem with the school, and that was the back left-hand corner of the school. And immediately, Board of Justice got contractors to come in to fix the back corner of the school, because they said if the city come in, they automatically shut the school down because it was dangerous if some bricks ever come down off the wall. That was done immediately. I think it was within 2 weeks, if I'm correct. Correct me if I'm wrong.
We did it in a week.
1 week. Come August of 2022, another Zoom conference came through, and a 7-story building presentation was presented. The reason for me speaking about this, because the seed was planted when we first spoke about the prefabricated building back in September of 2021. Now all these other projects surfaced due to the presentation that was presented back then. On the Knowledge God Day of September of 2022, a universal building took place at a law school in Mecca. Approximately wisdom cycle to understand the cycle, God's earth present at that meeting. At that meeting, we presented 2 bid proposals that was given to us one by Boss Buildings and one by Patriot Steel. And the reason why I'm speaking about this today is because God's asking more clarification of what the building consisted of. Patriot Steel said they would give us a 50 by 70 feet building to be able for us to be able to build on that property for $85,255. They gave us terms and conditions, came with a 55-year structural warranty. It also came with the framing, laser cut, whatever color we wanted, and so forth. Why is this essential? Because at that time, we had no place for the universal problem. That's one. 2, because we need the renovation project of the law school now. Even if we move forward to building either a 7-story building, whatever story building, before that takes place, we said we need a place to be able to still have a Longshaw's civilization class, which is on Saturday, Sune's Beach course, which is on Thursday, Earthly Impact, Sewing class, which takes place on Friday. Unique now has an educational math and English tutoring course that takes place on Saturday from 12 to 3. We have AXG boxing that takes place on Sunday at the Wisdom Hour to the Power Hour. Dr. Kim is supposed to be bringing his Monday and Tuesday classes back to as well. We cannot have a renovation, and we talk about renovation of the law school, not just the 7-story building, the renovation of the law school. That means the whole foundation of the school has to be restructured. That means the shutting down of the law school in Mecca. That means we have no place to be able to congregate and to be able to have classes. We have agreed, and from my understanding, from the Zoom conference, the one that took place in June, and the one that took place in February, that closing the law school was not going to happen unless we have some other place to go. I have 471 views from the last Universal Parliament. As you know, I'm going live now. 471 views. Phone calls, questions, emails came through. I'm going to speak about a couple of things, and I'm going to let the presenters be able to ask them, because I did my research. Real property law, 232, subdivision C. Need to understand what that is. That's dealing with the month-to-month lease, how a month-to-month lease comes about. You need to understand the dangers of that section 2 as well. That's why I'm presenting to the presenters. General obligation law, section 5-701. That's another section we need to be able to understand clearly. I noticed at the last Universal Parliament, I heard everything about what was presented, what Sid David Dawes said and everything, but know what I didn't hear one mention of? The Barry Dr. 11. Don't forget, he was on the Urban League Commission and the Crisis Management Team for Mayor Lindsay. He was also a part of the planning committee that spoke in 1970 when the planning committee was trying to get us moved off a law school, off that property at 2122 Alexander Powell Boulevard. I want to read a portion of that letter. When the funding for the Street Academy ran out in the late 1960s, the city had taken over the storefront property in a tax case and decided, as the director of the mayor, to lease the property to the 5 centers for 99 years at $1 as long as they would continue to maintain the property and use it as a school and community center. This action was taken in 1969 or 1970 and was reaffirmed at a meeting of the Planning Commission several years later when developers wanted us to move off that property. Yes, David Dorff might have sat on the cabinet of Mayor Lindsay and everything, but we're not going to forget what Barry Gottlieb did and what he meant to this nation. And how he has spoken up for this nation when our property was going to be taken from us. That was not presented at that meeting, or I didn't hear nothing presented about it at the last Universal Parliament. There's one other thing I'd like to speak of. I'm not against, or I'm not even for the project. I want us to be able to come together, some way, somehow. I want to work with love. I want to work with God might be opposed to what love want to do. Before I came home in 2018, I was in the interior cycle. When I was in the interior cycle, we didn't do history about me. When I was in the interior cycle, I was on the IOC executive board. I was facilitating the Nation of God's Work. I was the chairman of the adventure committee. I ran tournaments and everything. God kept saying, all that that you have is very conducive and productive for you to come home and bring it to the free cycle for the Nation of God's purpose. Since I came home in May 2018, my feet has been running. Just this week alone, on the phone in South Carolina, North Carolina, California, Conference Call, California, and everything. I'm constantly building, Lord, to make sure this nation is getting recognized all across the United States. I'm constantly shipping stuff out, proper package. Just had to send the commissioner of North Carolina Department of Corrections because this book by John R. Lee talks about the knowledge of self of the black man, 120 lessons he wanted to use as a corporate book for the nation of God's earth. No, if any book should be recognized, it's the true history of Allah and his 5 centuries. And I sent that to the commission. I'm about being transparent. That's one thing about me. I'm about being transparent. And since September of 2021, we have collected $7,147 towards the prefabricated building project. I told y'all since September, every month I will let everybody know where we at. This is the building project. 50 by 70 feet building. We tell the designers where we want the doors at. We'll say where we want our doors and everything at, and they will put it there in that position. The thing that we would have to do would be, we have to handle the construction of the building, the insulation, the walling, the ceiling, the HVAC, and the plumbing. We would be responsible for that. Plan is to move forward with the prefabricated building on the law school property. Now, this still does not take away the presentation that was brought to us by Beloved and Bilal. Because the original presentation that was brought to us in August 2022, Bilal had something similar to prior in the backyard of the property to when I'm going to present and construct the property. So that building can still go along with Beloved and Bilal and present to us. So, again, in September, we presented a prefabricated building project. Then came the SOS. Then came the system. We are going to move forward and go in another bit the building of the law school property. Just in case another pandemic comes, and then comes, we're not able to be able to get any schools or anywhere else to be able to have universal parliaments, or educational show improvements, or Earth Appreciation Day, or the birth of this nation. With that, I'm say finish. I think Paul Chabot next.
Yeah, right.
Good, beloved, good. I want to talk to the God real quick.
Peace to the gods and earth, peace to the nation, peace knowledge bill. I like a lot of the bill I heard today. A lot brought up a lot about the farmer, and Mark's building projects. And this is really our mandate that the farmer has. Today's peace knowledge bill, and we need to build the people on building upon knowledge. And we've all come of age. We've all been in this nation for a long time. So we heard a lot of drops about different building projects. And the guy who was just sitting behind me was asking, is this a different project or not? So I just want to be clear. And I see all of this as one project. And that our big challenge right now as a nation is for us to come together as one idea. So, what I think our mathematics just built on was these different projects. The first one was stabilize the existing building. That was the first. We can't let anything happen to the building that we have right now. All of us agree on that. And that work is being done. He said we brought in a structural engineer. The structural engineer did his analysis. And it's true, the foundation of the school was solid. There was one portion of the building that was leaning a little bit. That got one justice was contracted down. That got fixed immediately. That structural engineer was finishing his work. And we're going to solidify the existing building. IB Law Mathematics and the Dawson School, they have an idea for like a prefab building. We see that as a temporary structure. It's a structure to tie us over from where we are now to where we have to be ultimately in the future. What we have to decide and agree upon is what's our vision? The Father left us a beautiful site, and the city has recognized it. The city now calls that entire site block. What is it?
1932.
1932.
Lot
29. Lot 29. One lot, which is our lot. So the city recognizes now the entire site as our lot. So what we have to do is decide, at the end of this 99 years that the God is referring to, what do we want to be on that site? Let me describe it like this. We've heard since our presentation last month, a number of guards say, the guards opened up a can of worms. If you bring attention to the world on the site, something may happen, someone may take the school. I really see that the opposite way. The city has always recognized us on the site. I'm a little more concerned leaving the site the way it is. We've had it now 55 years. The Father returned 53 years ago. It's like, how long do we need? The city gave given us a great grace period. 53 years? How long do we need for us? Let me say one more thing. There's a lot of developers. What happened in 1977? All of the Commonwealth was a separate development group. A lot of developers would love to build on that site. But the city gave us a grace period. We don't want to maintain that site, control the site. We're the ones that need to develop the site. So I'm more concerned with us leaving the site the way it is, decade after decade after decade, 55 years now. How long have we going to leave the site? So I see the prefab building, as you described, Ron, a temporary holdover. While the existing building is being stabilized or under construction, the holdover is what we ultimately want to do with Blau's building. Education program, workforce development. We could do construction, train guards in construction. We could put a program in the school where you grow fresh foods, sell fresh foods, teach everyone every aspect of that. You all may know that I'm a mechanical engineer. The whole time you'll have known me across my career, 1975 into York College, 1978 into Columbia University, 1980 finished Columbia University in mechanical engineering, started in the field. And the whole time that you'll know me for other things. 1975, after I came back from the service, went up to meet Malaki in prison because he had a relationship with Prince Marlowe's who was in Odessa. 1987, we initiated the Word newspaper. We wrote the bomb. We documented the history of the nation. You don't know me through that, but at the same time, I've been going through the Devon's education system, college, starting in a profession. That's what the father told us to do. Get a trade and get a profession. And now this is our mandate now. This is what we have to do. We have to do the same thing to pass down to the next generation. They need to get a trade and a profession. And in 20 years, probably all of us in here right now won't be anymore. Maybe a few of you. I don't know. But most of us not going to be here. But still, we have to do something for the next generation. So, what we presented last Parliament was we developed the site. We met with the mayor's office already, and they said as long as you'll develop the site with something that meets the needs of the community, they are going to be supportive and they will transfer land to us. And ultimately, that's what we want. Ultimately, that's what we want. We want the land and we want a vision that we have for that site, and that's what we're building on. So, I don't see no separation between getting the projects, God, that we was just building on. The stabilization of schools we've done now, we got to do it. The temporary prefab building, if that can pull us over to the next thing, that's great too. But ultimately, we have to do a new development, and so that's what we're building on. And just to give you a quick update where we are, we're retaining an architect and a legal consultant to navigate these different waters. And just so you know, we're at the beginning of the process. We're not at the end. We're at the very beginning. We're going to retain an architect. We already have a proposal. We're going to bring them in, and we're going to set up focus groups in the nation so we can start giving feedback as to what we want to see. Where's Hashim? Where's Hashim? I seen this guy's face, Hashim. Hashim, I had dinner with God last night, and he was talking about, obviously, first lady one of the nation. His history goes back to the baby, his mother and father, close with the father. They have all the historic pictures of what the building looked like, the photos that were on the wall. We have to recreate all of that. Picture this, 20 years from now, none of us are here. But our youth could still go to that building, could still stand in the original structure, because we're going to maintain the existing building on the site, but it will be part of a bigger development. And we don't know 7 stories. Now that we have to get the land transferred, we can't build as of right, so we may build higher than 7 stories. It's going to be something we're going to work out with the architect, with the city. We're going to present it to the city with their approval. But just picture 20 years from now, still youth getting plugged into that original space where the father stood back in 1967, with some of the historic photos still up on those walls, and learning about our history. Before I just came here today, I was just at a luncheon with 2 architects who have a firm in architecture and 2 architecture students. And I was telling them I have this meeting I got to go to tomorrow. And they was asking me when I was telling them, going to 5%, and they said, no, we don't know what to go with. But I just gave them history. Everyone is blown away by our history. So this is something that is our job to maintain. We got to let our nana build from here, going on into the future, after we're not here anymore. And that's what it's about. It's about us. The father said was, if we ever need him, what we got to do is come together. And this is our task right now. Task number 1, us come together, one idea, how we vision the site in the future, maintaining the existing building, doing a historic restoration, clean up the brick facade, have it look like some clean, take the stuff off the side that wasn't there before, and then put all our history in that building, put some of the original photos back on. So we're going to start some focus groups to allow me to call for the education committee. And I don't understand it.